Find your favorite artists with GRAMMYconnect. Discover even more about your favorite Grammy artists. GRAMMYconnect. Every year, the Grammy community grows larger. What more? Nominees, from musicians and songwriters to producers and sound engineers, establish new connections within that very community. Giving fans a unique way to explore those connections is what GRAMMYconnect is all about. This year, the Recording Academy has partnered with IBM to use artificial intelligence to make these music connections easier to understand and a lot more fun to explore. How does GRAMMYconnect work? GRAMMYconnect uses IBM Watson to analyze more than 14 million articles and bios and news articles on 19,000 Grammy-nominated artists, discovering and visualizing the many ways they are all connected. And we're making it available to the world at GRAMMYconnect.com. This partnership is about empowering to discovery and identifying connections between those who create music, as well as those of us who love music, says Evan Green, Chief Marketing Officer of the Recording Academy. Anchored by the awesome power of IBM's enterprise-grade AI, GRAMMYconnect will not only enhance the way fans experience the Grammys, but it will also allow streamlined navigation through the massive and complex universe of connected music and music creators. How can fans interact with GRAMMYconnect? Fans can navigate the experience by musical genre, award category, or by clicking on the image of an artist to see who they're connected to, and how. Maybe they studied at the same music academy, or got their start on The X Factor, or maybe they are both Best New Artist nominees from Albania, like Dua Lipa and B. Rexa. GRAMMYconnect uses Watson Discovery to mine trusted sources of information about the industry, including the official Grammy archive at Grammy.com and Musuka. When it went live, Watson Discovery identified more than 20 million connections between artists, industry professionals, and other celebrities. Try it out for yourself. Go to www.GRAMMYconnect.com. And to learn more about the Grammys' work with IBM, go to ibm.com/Grammys. 7 things that are always on Willie Nelson's mind. 7 things are always Willie Nelson's mind. At 85, Willie Nelson would be forgiven for resting on his laurels, but the legendary country outlaw shows no signs of slowing down. He remains as engaged as ever, releasing not 1 but 2 studio albums last year and passionately championing charities and causes close to his heart. In addition to his prolific output, Nelson has long been known as one of music's biggest activists and philanthropists. On February 6, the 8-time Grammy winner will be honored with a 2019 Producers and Engineers Wing Award to celebrate his artistic achievements. As Recording Academy President Neil Portnow said, Nelson has inspired generations of musicians and fans, and continues to set precedents of excellence within the music community, but his work outside the music community is remarkable as well. So to highlight all the important work he's done advocating outside the industry, we're taking a look at some of his favorite causes. Farm Aid. Perhaps Nelson's best-known cause, Farm Aid has been active for over 30 years, beginning in 1985 as a benefit concert organized by him, John Mellencamp and Neil Young to raise money for family farmers. After the first Farm Aid concert raised over $9 million, Nelson and Mellencamp brought farmers to testify before Congress, sparking the passage of the Agricultural Credit Act of 1987 to help save family farms from foreclosure. Farm Aid's Farm Disaster Fund helps provide money to farmers who lost their crops through natural disasters. The organization's board of directors includes Nelson, Mellencamp, Young and Dave Matthews, and they work together to put on the annual fundraiser concert, which will enter its 34th year in 2019. The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. If you know one thing about Willie Nelson, it's probably how he feels about marijuana. He serves as a co-chair on the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, NORML, working with them to fight for the legalization of marijuana across the country. In 2005, he hosted the first annual Willie Nelson. People have spoken with their votes and their dollars. Now that we've proven regulating and taxing is good for individuals and business and states, it's pretty clear that pot is good for America. Horse advocacy. Horses have been a huge part of Nelson's life, and he has passionately advocated for better treatment of them for years. He has partnered with Habitat for Horses to adopt a number of horses, and in 2014, he made a video with them called "The Love of Horses" to call for the end of horse slaughter, preserve the habitat of wild horses and prevent abuse and neglect of the animals. He campaigned for the passage of the American Horse Slaughter Prevention Act, and he has been active with the Animal Welfare Institute and the Best Friends Animal Society as well. Biofuel. In 2007, Nelson wrote a book advocating for the use of biodiesel and the reduction of gas emissions called On the Clean Road Again, Biodiesel and the Future of the Family Farm. Subject that has long been close to his heart. In 2004, he and his wife Annie partnered with Bob and Kelly King to build 2 biodiesel plants, one in Salem, Oregon and the other in Carl's Corner, Texas. The following year, he and several business partners formed Willie Nelson Biodiesel, also known as BioWillie, to market biofuel made from vegetable oil that can be burned without modification in diesel engines to truck stops. LGBTQIA rights. Nelson has been outspoken in his support of the LGBTQIA community for many years. In 2015, he aligned himself with Texas Wins, an anti-discrimination group, saying, "Discrimination against the LGBT community is not what Texas is all about, and that's why I'm thrilled to support Texas Wins." In 2013, during the debate over same-sex marriage and the Defense of Marriage Act, he went viral after posing with 2 Willie-specific variations on the Human Rights Campaign's equal sign logo, one with his iconic braids, and another with 2 joints. He voiced his support for same-sex marriage, telling Texas Monthly, "It's ridiculous to me that this is something we're having a conversation about this in this day and age. I thought it was something that was settled a long time ago. We'll look back and say it was crazy that we ever even argued about this." Bryce's Willie Nelson faced some backlash from conservative fans, who apparently weren't paying too close attention to his politics for the first 5 or 6 decades of his career, after he endorsed Democrat Beto O'Rourke over Ted Cruz in Texas Senate race last year. Nelson has been vocal in his outrage over Trump's border separation policy, writing, "What's going on at our southern border is outrageous. Christians everywhere should be up in arms. What happened to bring us your tired and weak and we will make them strong? This is still the promised land." In September, he debuted a new song, "Vote Him Out," at a rally for O'Rourke in Austin, and the following month he released a studio version of the song in support of Bryce's, a non-profit that provides free and low-cost legal services to immigrants in Texas. The song urges Americans to get to the polls and vote as Nelson sings, "If you don't like who's in there, vote him out," and reminds us that the biggest gun we've got is the ballot box. A Department of Peace. Nelson has supported organizations like the Peace Alliance's calls for the creation of a Department of Peace in the United States government. In 2004, Nelson backed Democrat Dennis Kucinich's presidential run, due in part to Kucinich's support of the creation of such a department. At a fundraiser for Kucinich that year, he debuted his song, "Whatever Happened to Peace on Earth," inspired by his opposition to the war in Iraq. "So I guess it's just do unto others before they do it to you," he sang. "Let's just kill 'em all and let God sort 'em out. Is this what God wants us to do?" The P6, 2019 in Los Angeles, California as part of Grammy Week. Watch music's biggest night, the 61st Grammy Awards, on Sunday, February 10th on CBS. Brandi Carlile, HER. To play the 61st Grammys, Brandi Carlile, Miley Cyrus, her Red Hot Chili Peppers added 2019 Grammys performer. The Recording Academy has announced another amazing round of performers for the 61st Grammy Awards, airing on Sunday, February 10 on CBS. In what is bound to be an unforgettable Grammy moment, Grammy winners Red Hot Chili Peppers will join previously announced performer Post Malone. Music's biggest night will also feature multi-Grammy nominee Brandi Carlile, past Grammy nominee Miley Cyrus, and current multi-Grammy nominee HER. They'll join previously announced performers and current nominees Camila Cabello, Cardi B, Dan Shay, Post Malone, Shawn Mendes, Janelle Monáe, and Casey Musgraves. Recording Academy, Grammys, at Recording Acad, January 24, 2019. Taking the Grammy stage for the first time, Carlisle is up for 6 Grammy Awards: Record of the Year, The Joke, Album of the Year, By the Way, I Forgive You, Song of the Year, The Joke, Best American Roots Performance, The Joke, Best American Roots Song, The Joke, and Best Americana Album, By the Way, I Forgive You. Meanwhile, first-time Grammy nominee HER is up for Album of the Year, HER, Best New Artist, Best R. Hosted by Alicia Keys, the 61st Annual Grammy Awards will be broadcast live from Staples Center in Los Angeles in HD TV and 5.1 surround sound on the CBS television network, Sunday, Feb. 10, 2019, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. PT, Cardi B, Camila Cabello, Post Malone, Janelle Monáe. Of Kerrang! Magazine, which prominently features the band You Look Great, frontman Jason Allen Butler tells guitarist Stephen "Stevies" Harrison, who, in the photo, has his arms folded and is wearing a firm expression, "It's 'cause I'm not smiling for them," he responds. Butler, meanwhile, is amused at how he appears on the cover, which is considerably less stone-faced. Okay, he's actually bent all the way back, upside down, in mid-hysterics. I knew they'd be waiting for it, laughs Butler, who by "it" means his weird Joker grin. He's definitely not mad, but one gets the impression that in a perfect world Butler would have liked for his expression to emulate Harrison's. The trio, who perform a modern hybrid of punk and hip-hop, actually do have a lot to feel upbeat about. It's been only days since they found out about their first Grammy nomination, which is in the Best Rock Performance category for their confrontational, fist-pumping anthem, Made in America, formed in collaboration with punk rock figureheads Travis Barker, Blink-182, and John Feldman, Goldfinger. Fever 333 also comprises drummer Eric Umproda, also Have Night, Versus, with whom Butler, formerly of post-hardcore act Let Live, had worked with in the past. Altogether, Butler, Umproda, and Harrison, who also plays in metalcore outfit The Chariot, are on a mission to promote awareness around racial and gender inequality, among other things, and their music doesn't so much address those issues as it does come at them with a sledgehammer. Made in America, a Rage Against the Machine-sounding chant, furiously calls the country out on its inherent inequalities, which Butler, who is biracial, has experienced firsthand growing up in Los Angeles' Inglewood neighborhood. To that end, the group's just-released debut album, Strengthen NUMB333RS, is a full-length, all-caps call to arms. During a visit to Butler's LA home, we sat down with the members of Fever 333 to talk about their very first Grammy nomination, working with rapper Vic Mensa on this Made in America remix, tackling the issues many working artists are afraid to touch, and how Butler first met Barker while attempting to, of all unpunk things, sell cookies to a grocery store. Congrats on the Grammy nomination. Where were you when you heard the news? Stephen "Stevies" Harrison: I was in Atlanta in my room. It was like 7 in the morning. I was like, what? It was way too early for me to process the news. I was like, if this isn't true or you're joking, or if there's any chance that this could not be true, please don't do this to me right now. Jason Allen Butler: I was in Sicily at the time. I was driving from Venganza to Cefalu. I was driving on a different side of the road, and I don't want to answer the phone at that moment, so I was like, alright, when we get there I'll answer. And then I got a call from management, and I got a call from RA. I was like, oh, we've been dropped, like from the label. I was like, it's a rep. We were in a lot of disbelief. We weren't aiming for it by any means really, we're just trying to create. Fever 333 is a relatively new project. Can you tell me about how the band came together? Butler: yeah, we were all in bands before. Eric is still in another band, and we'd done music together from my other band, Let Live. We had written together, we had done some solo stuff together. Steven and I had toured together, we basically shared a lot of the same ideals and understanding of this specific genre of music, like guitar-based music, being people of color and trying to find your place in all of this. Three of us ideologically already shared a lot of the same ideas, and we always kind of discussed playing music together at some point. Then, a year before Fever happened, I went to speak with a "You make it happen, he's a if you build it, they will come" kind of guy. Then my wife got pregnant, and I was still in Let Live. I needed a job to make sure that I could afford insurance and having a baby, because that is ********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* selling these accounts for the cookies to these grocery stores, and I was in one of the grocery stores, like, hustling these cookies, and this young woman came up to me and was talking about Let Live. Then she left, and then Travis Barker walks in, also talking about Let Live. He had been watching videos of my performances, this, that and the other. And we talked about having a mutual friend, John Feldman, and we decided we should maybe get together and make music. I didn't really think it was going to happen, and then it did on Super Bowl Sunday of 2017. We got together and wrote this song called We're Coming In. It's like this Nexus manifesto of what this project is going to be, and then Steven, Eric and I got together and said, alright, this is what we're going to do. That's crazy. All of this happened because you just happened to run into Travis Barker? Butler, yeah, it just sort of happened. I had this idea a while ago, about offering a larger sense of representation. Being biracial, I was always struggling to find an identity in the world, but then in a subset of music which was supposed to be more alternative, but then it was kind of like a heteronormative white boys club. John and Travis were very, very interested in the idea. They agreed that it was time to create a space for people just to exist, and to have the discussion that needs to be had. So by having a conversation in your music about representation, what void are you hoping to fill in the rock genre at large? Harrison, I feel like we grew up with a rock generation where people were trying new things constantly and no bands sounded the same. Lately, it just seems like people are kind of repeating things that have been done, and all of the exploration is happening in other genres. I feel like different types of people just gravitate towards indie and hip-hop because it just seems like rock has become such a specific audience, and everybody has this specific goal that we create things that feel kind of dated at this point. Since we grew up on rock and didn't want to give up on it, I feel like we tried our best to integrate all of our influences and not limit ourselves to what I guess was expected of the genre at this point in time. As an artist today, you can literally get just about anything aside from authenticity, which is what we hope to provide. We hope to really explain ourselves for who we are, and in doing so, offer representation. I think that's our lane. This is who we are, this is why we say what we say, and we're very open to have the conversation, but ultimately, you can't really tell somebody no to their truth. The song, Made in America, describes a violent reality for a lot of Americans, especially those of color, who were promised an American dream that ultimately never arrives. To what extent does this song describe your experience? Butler, the double-edged sword was education for me. I learned about all these things from the books that we were told, but I never saw my own face, really. I never saw my father's face, I never really saw women, and I was raised by basically my sister and my mother. The idea of identifying with things that I'm familiar with in our history as a country, I didn't really have that. Anytime that I did see black faces or women, they were subjugated. They were relegated into these submissive positions, which I found to be very interesting because the black culture I knew was strong and was full of love and full of a rich, deep history. Harrison, I grew up in Georgia, and ignorantly I grew up thinking that when I got older and when I could move outside of Georgia, that some of the ignorance and racism that I had experienced would just go away or settle down or wouldn't be as harsh, and it's not true at all. As I got older, I just realized that racism takes different forms, and depending on where you're and what's happening. I just thought it was like a kid thing. A young person's kind of ignorance, or an old person, Southern kind of ignorance, but that's not really the case. Especially touring the world, you realize it's everywhere. Eric Umproda. For me, I grew up in Southern California, and both my parents are really into art. My dad designed for television, my mom's a drama teacher. Even the school I grew up in was predominantly Asian, so I just had no perspective at racism. Then when you start to travel you just see the different degrees of it everywhere. I think that was the biggest change for me growing up, which is that I wasn't in a position to see how apparent that stuff was. I mean, I heard people say, like, oh, well, if you go to the Deep South this stuff happens, but it wasn't something that was ever in my worldview. I was just fortunate with my upbringing that it wasn't in front of me. And then as you get older and you start to travel, like I said, it starts becoming a lot clearer. Who did you all listen to when you were growing up? Who would you say informs your sound? Butler. I think we have a common ground with Rage Against the Machine. Harrison. That was the first band where I was like, wait, what does he mean? 'Cause other bands I listened to weren't making me like look back in history. Butler. Yeah, we have to put that out there on the forefront, 'cause they paved the road for a band like us to be successful in music and society. Me personally, as far as like, subverting and challenging the status, NWA and Public Enemy were huge for me. And then all punk rock, 'cause I'm from LA, so we have Circle Jerks, Black Flag. And the bands from the East, obviously Minor Threat was huge. The idea of straight edge to me was so interesting when it was explained as an effort to challenge normalcy. Nina Simone is huge for me too. I think she was like one of the most punk, most in-your-face artists. Meet first-time nominee, Ashley McBryde on Self-Acceptance. How did you guys connect with Vic? Butler. We connected with him through Travis. Travis has done stuff with him before, at the time that Vic was, for better or for worse, being very vocal about some pretty hot-button issues. He was getting more and more involved in socio-political issues, and even the gender discussion. It seemed like good alignment. Sometimes it can be hard for us to find someone who will openly discuss certain issues, and the issues that we discuss are pretty challenging and confrontational. Travis had shown him the Made in America record and he felt it, and we linked up one night and he dropped a verse. What a wild night. And then he continued on his path of King saying what he felt. That's the thing, it's like the fact that this man feels as though his voice can be used to shed light on something that he thinks is wrong. That's why we can't have these discussions, 'cause people aren't really looking at the facts. I understand when to separate legacy from personal history, 'cause, like, to be fair, some of my greatest idols as far as even politics, were pretty unsavory people in their personal lives. But I do think that the bigger thing here, the point I'm trying to make is, we should be able to have those discussions without being berated. Speaking of encouraging conversation around the issues, you founded a charity, the Walking in My Shoes Foundation. Could you tell me a little bit about its mission? Butler. The Walking in My Shoes Foundation is essentially a launch pad for people to participate in the change that they want to see. We try to do a tri-yearly. We are going to hold these events where we highlight issues that we think need to be brought to attention or that are dear to us. Currently we're with the Man to Support Committee, the Black Women Lawyers Foundation, and United for a Fair Economy. A lot of language for change can be really convoluted. What we're trying to do is break down the idea of being able to help and being able to be a part of change. By simply buying a shirt, an album, going to a demonstration of ours, or just going to our website, you can look at a brief statement that gives you information on the issues, and you can choose which one you would like to support. Since we have a platform, since we have people's attention with the music and the art, we try to offer a component if they want to learn about what it is we're actually talking about. Meet the first-time Grammy nominee, Between the Buried and Me's Paul Wagner.